This is not something that I would ever do. It's not something that I plan to do. Now, we all know this show has a rather complicated relationship when it comes to LeGoat. Sometimes I see him as LeGoat. Sometimes I see him as LeCap or LeBag. It depends on the day, right? Because, like, on the one hand, I've always marveled at LeBron James's ability, his longevity, his stamina, his athleticism, his consistency, his playmaking ability. I mean, all these amazing things that I've marveled at, obviously. But then on the other hand, I mean, I can't lie. I've also been completely annoyed by his bagginess and his flopping and his shadow GMing and his thin skin and his rabbit ears and the fact that the entire galaxy revolves around him.
Who, me?
Yes, you. In other words, I give the man his due credit when he deserves it, but I absolutely will criticize him when he deserves that. However, if you've noticed lately, it's all been pretty positive. There's not a lot to knock at the moment, considering this dude is playing some electric basketball in the postseason at age 41. And he's doing so without the help of his two best teammates. And this electric playoff basketball came immediately after he finally came around to realizing that he had to adapt his game to fit his two most talented teammates. But then he successfully did that. Now, maybe you could argue that he should have made that adjustment sooner, but at least it happened. So I give him credit for that too.
Credit.
No problem. I've never had any problem giving him credit when he's earned it. So I say all of this to say it's a pretty good moment to make an argument on behalf of LeBron and his greatness. And clearly LeBron knows that. And obviously LeBron is not going to let that moment pass. Hence, today's column in ESPN featuring LeBron favorably comparing himself to, of course, the other GOAT, Michael Jordan. Ah, yes. This again. This again. Look, you all know that the LeBron versus MJ debate is about the most tired thing in the entire world. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame is even sick and tired of the LeBron versus MJ debate. And for talk shows, of course, it's like that stupid Mount Rushmore thing, except it's even lazier. And you all know how I feel about this stupid Mount Rushmore thing. That's why I never do it. So clearly, I would never have started this show today or any other day or any other show with the MJ versus LeBron debate, except for this. LeBron went there himself. So because he went there himself, I will actually have this conversation today, but for one day and one day only. It's not jumping the day. We're not doing it tomorrow. We'll probably never do it again, but we'll do it today because he went there. I mean, it's actually a great time to have this chat for a couple of reasons. Number one, LeBron is constantly adding to his resume. Case in point, that absolutely unbelievable sequence on Friday night. Number two, we're all constantly getting further and further away in time from MJ's career, which means there are more and more loudmouthed lava pigs on social media who have never even seen Mike play. And of course, there's clearly a recency bias advantage for LeBron. So, with all of that said, how do they actually stack? Who actually is the GOAT? Well, first, let's see what LeGramps actually said to ESPN. Quote, I never have compared myself to MJ because our games are totally different. I have been a forward point my whole life. I have always looked for the pass. MJ kind of looked for the shot. Not kind of, he did. He looked for the shot. End of quote. Easy, LeBag in Orlando. Like, I don't compare myself to MJ, okay? I compare myself to MJ.
I don't fish on boats, okay, Matt? I fish on a
I compare myself
boat.
to MJ. I don't compare myself to MJ, okay? I compare myself to MJ.
I don't fish on boats, okay, Matt?
So that's quite a claim that he's, quote, never compared himself to MJ. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of feels like he's always comparing himself to MJ. Like, for instance, in that quote, the quote that I just read where he compared himself to MJ immediately after saying he never compares himself to MJ. That aside, I don't really agree with this point about being a pass first and MJ being shot first. It almost sounds like a backhanded compliment, doesn't it? Like all that guy does is shoot the ball. He's a gunner, man. He's just a chucker. Me, I'm a pass first guy. I'm selfless. That dude there, man, he's selfish. All he does is jack it up. Look, I understand what he's trying to say. We all do. He's reminding us that he is the beautiful basketball mind. And he always makes the right basketball play. And Mike was more of a scorer. He doesn't really have that right, though, right? Mike wasn't shoot first as much as Mike was win first. He was more of a scorer, and he was more of a winner. Mike shooting it as much as possible generally was the right basketball play and the winning play. So when LeBron says, I'm about making the right basketball play, so was Mike. Shooting it was the right basketball play if you're Mike, and the winning play. And that's the object of the game, right? To win. So it brings up a good question also. What does it even mean to be the GOAT? What is the GOAT criteria? I mean, do any of us even agree on that? Is it the player with the best overall career? Is it the player with the highest peak? Is it the player who won the most? Or is it just the guy that you would pick first to put on your team if you absolutely had to win a basketball game? I mean, so much of it is so subjective, which is why this GOAT debate is really so tedious. Actually, LeBron just called it a, quote, very tiring conversation. He said that, quote, it's a very tiring conversation. Right, which is why I never have it. But he said it himself. It's a very tiring conversation. End quote. Barbershop talk. End quote. He said both those things in ESPN, which again is very LeBag in Orlando of him. Like, this conversation that I'm forcing on everybody is tiring as hell, man. Like, I am sick and tired of this conversation. So let's have this conversation. This debate that I'm making everybody have is incredibly exhausting. All right, then why am I reading quotes from you in ESPN happily engaging in this horribly arduous and laborious barbershop talk that nobody wants any part of, that you were more than happy to have? Like this, quote, there are a lot of things where I would say my game is a lot different and a little better than his, but bleep, he was bleeping great. We're both great. We're both great basketball players. End of quote. Well, that's about as LeBron as it gets. There he goes again, doing the thing that he claims he's never done, comparing himself to MJ. Saying he's a little bit better than MJ, but comparing himself to MJ, but I have never done that. I don't think anyone on the planet is surprised to hear LeBron say that he thinks that he's a little better than Mike. Yeah, we know, dude. We know. And we know you're desperate for everybody to agree with you. And I'll give you this. A lot of people do agree with you. An entire army of keyboard warriors on social media absolutely agrees with you. Ask me, I don't. Now hear me out, LeBron Nation. I know you won't, but hear me out. I still think Mike is the GOAT. I still think Mike is the best ever. I still have never seen anything like Mike. I don't think I ever will see anything like Mike. But I want to be very clear on this. This is in no way a take hating on LeBron. I think LeBron is incredible. I think LeBron is the second best basketball player who's ever lived. And that right there is a massive compliment. That's not a diss. I think he's the second best, and I think he's shockingly close to Mike. Closer than I ever thought that he would get to Mike. Close enough that this debate actually is a debate. Again, This is all massively complimentary. Now, if you want some hard data on this and you somehow don't already know it, let me run through a few things.
Take that for data.
Mike has more rings. Mike has more finals MVPs. Mike has more MVPs. Mike was a 10-time scoring champion. Mike was a defensive player of the year. Mike never came home from the Olympics with a bronze medal. I mean, can you even imagine? Now, for LeBron, he is the all-time scoring champ. He is a 22-time All-Star. He's played in 10 NBA Finals. And if I'm being completely honest, I think that Mike, or I should say LeBron, is the greatest athlete. The greatest athlete in any sport who's ever lived. You hear that, LeBron? You hear that, LeBron Nation? You're all welcome. Greatest athlete in any sport. They both have incredible resumes, obviously. I could easily see people arguing between these resumes for the rest of the time. But for me, the difference between the dudes is not in the resumes. It's the difference between the dudes. Follow me on that. Mike was a straight-up assassin. Mike snatched souls. With Mike, it was kill or be killed. Nobody has ever been able to bend a basketball game to his will like Mike. And once that dude hit his apex, he pretty much won every single game that he needed after that. Now, of course, that is ignoring the Wizards years like they're The Godfather Part 3. And of course, LeBron people are fixated on the Wizards years because they're trying to say, look how good LeBron still is. And he was way older than MJ was when MJ did nothing but hurt himself and the Wizards. And the LeBron people have a good point there. I'm not here to argue that point. You're right. Longevity is one of LeBron's best arguments. And it is incredible that he's still as good as he is this far down the road with that kind of mileage on him. I'll give you that point. But I think at the end of the day, I think Steve Kerr broke it down perfectly. Steve Kerr nails it in this quote in The New Yorker. This is Kerr on LeBron. Quote, more of a holistic game where he dominates with his space and his athleticism and his passing. I think he's literally the greatest athlete on the face of the planet and in human history. Nailed it. I mean, I totally agree with that. Nailed it. Now here's Kerr on MJ. Quote, the killer instinct, the emotional dominance that he had not only over the other team, but the officials, the entire arena. I don't see that with LeBron. Everybody came into a series against Michael knowing they were going to lose. End of quote. Again, two literally perfect quotes and bits of analysis. I agree with literally every single word that he said. But of course, this is where the LeBron people come running up in here to say, of course Kerr says this. Kerr was an MJ teammate, and LeBron ripped Kerr's heart out in the 2016 finals. I mean, sure, yes, that's true. But you know what else is true? Kerr beat LeBron in the other 3 finals that they faced each other in. LeBron only won 3 games in those 3 other finals against the Warriors. 3 games total across the 3 series. They weren't even competitive. Steve Kerr and the Warriors swept LeBron in the 18 finals. And it wasn't even the only finals that LeBron got swept in. Try to imagine MJ getting swept in an NBA Finals. It's like impossible to imagine. It's also impossible to imagine another dynasty happening during Michael's prime. Michael was the dynasty. Meanwhile, the Warriors took 3 out of the 4 finals from LeBron during his peak. Nobody was taking anything from Michael during his peak. Oh, and before you just say, of course Kerr is siding with Mike, they were teammates. Yeah, I know, right. Just as they were teammates when Mike punched Kerr in the face and turned his lights out and closed his eye. At that point, I don't think that Kerr was willing to go to war for Mike. Not after he knocked him out. Listen, if you know anything about Kerr, Kerr is always going to shoot straight, former teammate or not. So again, I think he absolutely nails that comparison. And he said amazing things about both players. We could go on all day long with this. It's quite possible that people will be doing this for as long as there are people. I'm an MJ guy. I admit it's really, really close. And never mind dissing LeBron. That is about the biggest compliment I could give without saying something that I don't believe. The fact that LeBron went from the chosen one at age 15 to the second best player of all time is nothing short of miraculous. He has had an absolutely remarkable, all-time great career that in fact isn't even over yet. The only way you can paint this career in any negative light at all is by trying to compare it to MJ's. Ask me. So maybe let the talk stay in the barbershop, my dude, especially if you're supposedly so tired of the conversation, even though you keep bringing it up. Because I know one thing. One thing for sure is you can't argue your way to the top, right? So I keep trying. Besides, you want the ultimate tiebreaker? The ultimate GOAT tiebreaker? I have it. And yes, it involves me, of all people, because it involves the movie that I starred in and the sequel that I was not in. Of course, I'm talking about Space Jam. Mine and Mike's was one of the best sports movies ever made. LeBron's was one of the worst movies, regardless of genre, ever made, period. And it ruined the Space Jam franchise forever. And it traumatized my family. And all of that alone could disqualify the horrible actor from any GOAT conversation. Hey, one more thing. I don't have the dog in this fight that you think. I don't. Remember, I don't have a favorite guy. I don't have a favorite team. My favorite team is team content. But remember this. I was here for the entirety of both of their careers. Many of you LeBron honks never even experienced Mike in his prime or Mike at all. I've been here that long. I've been here for the entirety of both of their careers. That's why I come out where I come out. I'm not, old man, get off my lawn. I'm saying it's close. It's close, but I'm going with Mike. Since LeBron brought it up, I don't play that game. I don't play that, hey, let's do Mount Rushmore, because that's some of the laziest bleep ever. Or who's the GOAT? Bah, I don't do that either. But there's a whole piece on it this morning on ESPN's website with LeBron saying, yeah, I don't do it. I just don't compare myself to him, but let me compare myself to him. All right, so let's do it.